I think they need to attend this play and they need to support the theater. Theaters across the country are in real trouble. They have been since the pandemic, and there's been many casualties. So many small and mid-sized theaters have gone under in the years during and after the pandemic, and people seem to have fallen out of the habit of going to the theater. And whenever there's a work of original theater that is thought provoking, whether it's from me or any other writer, whether the work is new or old, they need to come and support it. They need to come and stand by their theater like they stood before. They need to support it and develop it. So it's important. It's an important community center. It's an art center, and it needs to be supported. They all do. All theaters need to be supported, and the only way really you can support is by donating to the theater and coming to see the work and talking it up and bringing guests as quickly as possible. You just need to get people to come to the theater. It's I've never seen theater undergo such a crisis as I have in the last few years, and I've been fighting for my local theater here, the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, for the last 2 years, and every day it's another day in this continuing battle to save our companies. If we lose them, it'll be a tremendous loss that will be hard to measure. An immeasurable loss. And let me just put it that way. It'll be an immeasurable loss. So I really encourage everyone they have to come. They have to come see Quixote Nuevo. They have to come see every show in the season. It's vital. Hi, my name is Octavio Solis. I'm the author of Quixote Nuevo. If you want to know more about this play, please listen to this conversation right here. Quixote Nuevo came from a commission. It came initially from a commission with the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. They wanted me to adapt Don Quixote, the novel by Cervantes. And I said yes. I mean, the money was too good. And the idea of having it done at the outdoor theater before an audience of 1,200 every night was just really just enticing. And then I also would like the challenge of trying to adapt that massive, huge novel, which even most Spaniards have never read, but everybody seems to know Don Quixote. And everybody seems to think it's the story of Man of La Mancha, which is a complete fallacy. Has nothing, that musical has nothing to do with the novel at all. It just has the character of Don Quixote in it, but it's not the story of the book at all. So I really went out to try to truly adapt that novel. Well, it's impossible. It's just it's a picaresque adventure that a character goes through, and every 2 pages is a different adventure. I mean, every 2 or 3 pages is a different adventure in an 800, almost 1,000-page book, actually. So it's like you can't include them all. So I had to start picking out, cherry picking the adventures that seemed like they'd be fun to see on the stage. It also has like 5 novellas in there of 60, 70, 80, like 20-page long stories within there that have nothing to do with Quixote. He isn't even in there. And then there's 2 books. It's book 1 and book 2, which are like almost completely different, but they're still Sancho Panza and Don Quixote in there. So anyway, it was an undertaking that I felt I successfully pulled off, and it went really well. But I felt like it was still like I still didn't quite get it. I didn't get it, and I didn't understand what was missing from the book, from the play. I just didn't know what, but I just didn't. I thought I'm not going to let anyone else touch this because I'm not there. I have to rewrite this. Got to figure it out. And then Shakespeare Dallas in the Parks contacted me and said they wanted me to do it as well, but they said, can you set it in modern day Texas? and can you add more Spanish to it? And I went, oh, well, there's a thought, and I did it. But I was lazy about it. I just took the play that I had just done and and um and put some more Spanish, updated the language, updated the scenery to Texas border, and we produced it, and that went okay. It was all right. I still felt like I was missing something. I still felt I was getting closer, but not close enough. And it wasn't until Eric Ting at California Shakespeare Theater, or Cal Shakes, up here in East Bay of Berkeley and Orinda. Um, that artistic director said, I want you to do this again. I want to produce this play, but I think you have work to do. And I says, yeah, so do I. What's missing? I feel like something's missing. And he said, you're missing. You're missing from this. You've been so loyal and true to Cervantes that now I want you to take this book away from him and make it yours. Take this story and make it yours. It's not you're missing from this story. I want to do an Octavio Solis play. I don't want to do a Cervantes adaptation. I want you to take it away and make it yours. And that's all I needed to hear. And we worked on it with my director, KJ Sanchez, and a great cast, and again had a lot of music in it, and we did it. We pulled it off. I don't know how. I wrote a completely new play, completely new, and set it really close to home. I felt like the first one I was in Spain, the second one I was at least in Texas, the third one I was home. I was home. I was writing about me. I was writing about my culture in a deep and profound way that really spoke to me, dealt with issues that I was very concerned about. I've always thought that Quixote wasn't just this crazy quixotic hero, some guy who likes to fantasize about knights and all that, and then did heroic things. I always thought that he was suffering from dementia, that he was suffering from Alzheimer's or something like that. And my mother is going through that right now, and has been for a number of years. And she was very present in my consciousness when I was doing that, because I wondered when and if and when symptoms like that would show up in me. And I still have that apprehension, because I believe the gene is carried through the mother. And so I worked on that. I made Quixote, my Quixote, be a scholar of Spain, who lives right along the Texas border, near around Big Bend area, up near El Paso, and he starts to as he starts to lose his memory, he starts to conflate his own life, his own past, with the events of his favorite novel that he's been a scholar of and knows extremely well, conflating those things together, which I think is probably what happens in Cervantes' novel too. I don't think anyone's ever interrogated it in that way, but I certainly did. I think there are other story arcs that are involved in this. I mean, this is a man who at the end of his life, his sister and his niece are all really deeply concerned about him, because all he does is spend time with his books, and he hardly eats. He's forgetful. He goes into these episodes where he sees things just like someone with Alzheimer's, and he knows that they're about to put him in hospice care, in a senior facility where they can treat him and watch him and take care of him, and he does not want to go that. He wants to have one last fling, one last adventure, to resolve some things from his past that are haunting him. And before he loses his memory completely, he wants to revisit an event from his past that really shaped who he is, and why he carries so much guilt in his hidden heart, and why he use Cervantes as a and Don Quixote as a method of study to kind of assuage himself with of that guilt. So he becomes his own, his literary hero for that time, and goes around Texas, around the southern area of Texas, which resembles a lot like a lot of La Mancha, very rocky terrain where there's some sheep, sheep herders there, just like in the novel, and goats and stuff like that. Very rural, very isolated, and where I also can then address some important matters that I feel needed to be addressed, uh, especially dealing with the undocumented. Um, so there are some political issues that I address in through this play, and I felt it incumbent on me to try to do so because I just got tired of when I was writing of the right trying to completely demonize immigrants who are coming over looking for, just another a new start, a new life. And I thought, ooh, this could actually work. I could make it work, and I do. I feel like I'm doing it in a way that is thoughtful, that is also provocative, and so but fair. I think I'm also doing it in a fair way. So those are some of the concerns that I think that are present in the work as well. So it's not a work of whimsy. It's not there's a lot of, it's a big visual feast, and it's an oral feast as well, and it's funny, but there are serious things afoot in there in this play, in this work that I'm extremely proud of, and especially I'm extremely proud of the way in which this company has been able to marshal all those elements in the play into a real cohesive whole, and they all get it, and I'm very, very pleased with their work. What I will say about some of the themes in Quixote, and I will say this about my character, which is consistent with with Cervantes's Don Quixote, and that's that he's a dangerous man. He's a dangerous man who is not well, and he does things that are funny, that are enchanting and charming, but ultimately are quite dangerous. It's especially if you give him a weapon. If you give him a lance and a sword, he can be very dangerous. And in today's culture, if he weren't a student of Cervantes, he might have had a gun, and then he could have done some real serious damage. But they're looking for him. His own family is looking for him. The barber the barber in Cervantes' novel, it becomes a psychologist, his therapist, who has been treating him and giving him medication. And that's how the barber functioned in those days. The barber function was a bleeder with leeches, used leeches. The barber's bowl wasn't just to cut hair; it was actually to catch blood from leeches, because they were involved in bleeding. He was the equivalent of the doctor in that period. And then the other person is a priest. So he's got someone from the medical world and someone from spiritual world, involved with the spiritual world, the life of the soul, who are trying to get to him and help him. And they're ineffective. They can't do it. They can't catch him. They can't make him see reason. And so I want to emphasize that about Quixote. He's a dangerous character, and it's fun to see him go through these crazy things, these adventures and exploits. But he kills sheep. He kills another person's herd. He gets the tar beat out of him several times. beaten hard, horrible. Uh, he takes what he thinks is this potion, and it makes him vomit, and it makes him go to the bathroom a lot. He's and he puts Sancho through hell, and Sancho's just trying to, my Sancho anyway. He's just trying to make sure he stays out of trouble and trying to coax him back home. And by the end, there's a part of him that really deeply believes in him, believes in his quest, because we all have our dreams of a quest like that. It's just that he's doing it with half a mind, with a fading, with his memory fading, and with very little else to help him in an age that no longer believes in chivalry. In fact, at the time that this novel was written, they didn't believe in chivalry either. The knights were like, the whole world of the knights was at least 400 years old. It was gone. It was a fantasy. And now it's like, even further gone now, although you wouldn't know it with all the sword and sorcery stuff that's out there. When Cervantes wrote this novel, he really wanted to lampoon and make fun of all those people that were reading all those romances, those knight and shining armor romances, and dragon slaying and magicians and magic and giants and trolls and ogres. He just thought that was all bunk, that they should read about real life, about the real world. So he wrote this novel about a guy who really falls for that, and how he confronts the real world, how that it clashes when he tries to, attack dragons, and it's like, someone's ox, or sees an entire army when it's just a herd of sheep, and he engages them in battle. It's just he's trying to show them how ridiculous it is to fall for those fantasies. He wrote this in rebellion of that, in a revolt. Well, the same thing continues today. You go look at Dungeons and Dragons, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Robin Hood, all those movies and TV shows that have to deal with sword and sorcery, all that magic stuff. It's still going on. It's still very vital. It still really attracts the imagination. And so I feel like the novel is even more relevant than it was then. And in some respects, I think my play is too. So anyway, that's it. I feel like I've come full circle with this work, because Man of the Flesh started there, and it dealt with Day of the Dead and the skeleton world, and Mama Kalaka, who was the mother of death, the mother as death, as a symbol of death. And there were all these skeletons. Well, I'm back to that world again, except this time it's from the father point of view. It's Papa Kalaka. So it's really weird how I've come full circle with the Day of the Dead themes in this work as well. Really, really interesting to me how it circled here with this. I can't ever predict what the audience is going to get out of it. I don't even know what I want the audience to get out of it. I just want them to come. I never, when I write the plays, I'm not thinking of the audience. I'm thinking of the story. And they'll get what they get out of it. And I hope it's, entertaining and thought provoking, and what else can one ask out of an audience, except that, just everyone's going to respond differently. It's there's no like, I have no imperatives that way. I don't really, they're going to respond how they respond, and as long as it's honest, it's valid. So that's what I'll say. My name is Octavio Solis, and I'm the playwright of Quixote Nuevo. So please, I urge you all to come and support our company, our theater, and this story, and as it provides this wonderful, rich Latino view of Quixote Nuevo. Please come and support it.